So, yeah, this is like something that I wanted to talk to you about, Chad, and it's something in line to do with Mortal Kombat. This was posted around like yesterday at 1 p.m. by Mortal Kombat 11, and apparently Mortal Kombat has stated that Netherrealm is now focusing on its next project, and after more than 2 years, Chad, of supporting MK11, DLC for the game, including characters, has come to an end. So it's like a big indication to everyone who is a Netherrealm fan, Mortal Kombat fan, you know, in particular, or Injustice fan, that, you know, MK11 is over and now we're gonna see the next big game from Netherrealm Studios. And most fans are like heading towards most fans are just heading towards to Injustice Land, or Injustice, a potential Injustice 3. Now, here's the thing about that potential like next big Netherrealm type of game, because like the scope of Netherrealm games have always been big. They're always been like the head honchos, second to Nintendo with Smash Brothers in terms of like, you know, just all around appeal. Like when you talk about like fighting games, about with like anyone, what's the few like fighting games that like come to mind? Mostly it's Smash, because, you know, Smash has like that build up repertoire of like, you know, oh, it's like a casual game. It's like Nintendo's like big successful, big like marketed, you know, type of game. It's a very accessible fighting game. It's got a lot of characters, and most of them are just from like different franchises. Smash Brothers has like pulled in so many characters from different companies that is insane. And what's next to Smash Brothers is Mortal Kombat and Injustice. Mortal Kombat Injustice has like the uncanny ability to get like these crazy ass guest characters that no one would ever like think of in a Mortal Kombat or Injustice game. Like for example, the earliest or like the most prominent one was MKX. MKX had like 4 like guest characters. 2 of them were like from horror slasher icons, Jason Voorhees and Leatherface, while the other 2 was the fucking alien, the xenomorph from Aliens, and the Predator alien from Predator. It would be like, you know, it's easy, you know, you could just get like sign in an agreement with like Fox Studios or like whatever movie rights and put them into the game, but it's not easy. It's not easy getting these characters in a fighting game. But why does it do so well? Why does like games like Netherrealm, you know, sell so much? One for gore porn. It's always been like the M-rated, you know, like hide this from your mama type of game. It's like that type of fetish you would get. Fetish, oh god. It's that type of game where you just like get away from your parents' like hawkful supervision and just play like naughty no video games or violent grungy video games with your best friends or your siblings. It's much more, you know, grotesque. Well, it's not really grotesque. Mortal Kombat is not really, you know, grotesque. Of course, there's like the M rating, like the blood on the screen, the violence, the different ways to like kill a motherfucker with, you know, the infamous fatalities. But beneath it all, it's just a very MK style Street Fighter. Like it's its own game. It's its own footsies, you know. And you know, there was a recent statement by Ed Boon. I think it was like a long time ago. I think it was for like the MKX tournament or something like that. That he would always like loves to see like crazy guests, you know, coming into their games, and he's been doing that ever since like MK9, or well, MK vs DC. MK vs DC was like the first to like really, you know, tell that M. Boone really likes to have like these fates crossing together. And why like have guests? Because, you know, there's like the polar contrast of like there's like the diehard fans of a certain franchise that wants like their own exclusive characters to be in the game, and then there's like the other side where it's like, oh, guest characters, you know, sell fighting games. But that's like the reason, you know, that's like the reason why fighting games like do great, is because, you know, guest characters are fucking awesome. It's much more appealing not only to like not only to like the game, to have like these weirdo ass characters just portal cross into that game's world, but it's also for like financial standpoint, you know? Like I remember like back in like Evo, what was it? Tekken 7 announcement. The world fucking flipped when, or well, I flipped when fucking Geese Howard was in Tekken 7. I didn't get much hype for Negan, but holy shit, this guy from The Walking Dead is in Tekken 7? Wait, the fuck? I'm like, really? This guy is in Tekken 7. Of all like the crazy guest characters, or of all like the Tekken characters, they chose like Negan. But you know, see, like that's the thing, you know? It's so weird that like Harada chose, you know, Negan to be in Tekken 7, but it was the goddamn brilliant idea because why? I said it before and I'll say it again. Guest characters sell a fighting game. They really do. They really do. Whether you like it or a diehard fan or not. That's why games like fucking Smash does so well because, you know, when has there ever been a game that you can have Sephiroth versus Minecraft Man versus Banjo-Kazooie versus Mario versus Link versus Ryu from Street Fighter versus Cloud from Final Fantasy VII? You know, just like that phrase alone is like, that's something that belongs in Mugen, right? The very, like, you know, fan-made build fighting game, Mugen, but now is in like, in an actual legitimatized, well, albeit bad netcode form, but in a solid form. And characters have cool different animations, and characters look fucking sick in that game, man. It's crazy to think that, like, you know, Mortal Kombat, that like games like Smash Brothers and Mortal Kombat can do so well because, you know, characters are so fucking engaging. It's like that's like one of the reasons of a fighting game to sell is like, one is what is like characters and guests, or characters and setting. I'm sorry, characters and setting. The other is like graphics quality. How well does the game look? And the down to the bottom line is gameplay. If the gameplay is fun, then your fighting game is going to do so much well. Unfortunately, that bottom like level, like just to sell a game on like gameplay is not a good enough reason nowadays. Now you would need like characters and setting because that's what the casual market want. If the game looks good, if there's like an interesting and diverse roster that including guests, then your fighting game is going to do well. Fighting games definitely do well because of those two aforementioned reasons, and it's fucking the game, the characters and setting, and you know, the graphics. Do they look good? Do characters look awesome? And Mortal Kombat has definitely done that. Is that they're a fighting game that's like based off of like real life mocap characters, you know, going all the way back to like fucking the first Mortal Kombat. They're not like custom made, you know, pixels. Of course there were pixels because of the time, but they're not something like SNK or Capcom or Bamco or Virtua Fighter. No, they were like real people mocapped in like polygonal textures. It always strive for like that sense of fucking realism, and they've like hit the peak with MK11, and the game is definitely fucking beautiful. Characters look dope as hell. You know, characters look dope as hell. Stages look awesome. Spawn looks good. Although, yeah, Spawn looks good. Joker looks good. The guests look good. You know, MK11 is like the highest peak of like characters just look like fucking people because of their engines and all like the devs working on the game non-stop just to make the game look good and ship it out. And it looks good. And whenever a character gets added in, like Rambo or Terminator or Spawn or Joker, they look cool as hell. they freaking look cool as hell. And like RoboCop too. I forgot about RoboCop. RoboCop is also in the game. But like those characters, but like MK11 just like fucking hit their high point. I don't know if they could get any bigger than that. You know, Injustice 2 was like their you know, max level. MK11 is just like hitting those peaks. But in speaking of that, you know, like I don't think that the Mortal Kombat team or Netherrealm is going to do like an Injustice 3. That would be like, you know, the safest and most possible bet that I can see from Netherrealm is doing Injustice 3. Cause even though like there is the possible rumor of the Netherrealm doing a Marvel type of game, not like Marvel, but a Marvel game, but with Netherrealm aesthetics. But I could see that Injustice 3 could be a safe choice for next game after Mortal Kombat 11. Problem is, you know, the Injustice games were not really that great to look at. Because most of their because what was the problem with Injustice 1 in terms of like their gameplay? Not a lot of characters had really cool shit besides like a very select few. What do they excel at? They excel at like range and they excel at zoning. Every character has like a zoning tool if they have to, and the characters that don't, you could try. There are like insane Evo tournaments of past year that you could definitely do without, you know, zoning. Flash, Bane, who else? Black Adam has always been like top tier in both games, so I can't count him. But Injustice has always excelled in like the mid to long range game, never like the close range, and that's what stifled most of the community for Injustice. Albeit a good game, there are still bitches, you know, there are still people, sorry, not bitches, people still playing it, but really now, this is like the game. This is what we have to do. This is our big Injustice game, and it's heavily revolved around, you know, zoning. And that's so shitty. Like every DC character looks cool as hell, but they're just in the wrong type of game. And I get it. That's what I feel like that's what DC characters are. They just like they have some throwing capability or zoning capability that just makes them good. They can't all be like super close up in your face, you know. But if they were to do like an Injustice 3, I want them to like, of course they could just reuse assets, right? They could reuse assets from the old Injustice games. From Injustice 2 more specifically, not both the Injustices. Injustice 1 was some like woof. But Injustice 2 definitely. They could just like reuse assets and make them better than before as a base. But in terms of gameplay and like gameplay overall aesthetic, like Injustice 2 was detrimental because you had like a gear loot system in the game, and I was like, what the fuck? Why is there a gear loot system to get like exclusive skins for like characters? And I'm like, fucking god. And same thing that happened with MK11. In MKX, you had all the brutalities like accessed and give it to you. Now you have to like go to like the crypt and like go to like the skull like gold merchant thing, and then you have to like roll the dice on like if you get a good brutality or like a good skin. And that's something like, you know what, I don't really like that at all. I do not like that, like rolling for skins or like You know, shit like that. I do not like that at all, one bit, man. It is god awful game design to me. Like, for a fighting game, you want to have like things like access. The point of a fighting game is to, like, you know, learn your character, and then if you learned enough, then you could play with other people. At least, like, to me. So having like a gear loot system of just randomly RNG and getting this cool ass swag is not that impressive for me. Okay, I want that to like go away. Keep like the MKX aesthetic, you know? Like MKX had like for each character in the game there were 3 different variations. 3 different types of characters within that one character, and each one plays a little bit differently from one another. And that's something I would like to see in potentially an Injustice 3. That's like the safe bet. That's like the easy bet that Netherrealm could do. And I think we still haven't talked about the Marvel Netherrealm rumors. But if they were to do like an Injustice 3 and like update the game, change it so that you don't have to do mid to long range nooch. Give me stuff that, like, you know, make characters cool in close combat. Give us like ways that you can play this character without relying on just long range zoning. For character wise, that too, and give us like the variation system in MKX. I love that because each character variation was like differently unique. Like we saw in the MKX tournament by Twitch rivals that like Dragonfire Liu Kang is heavily different from like Dragon Spirit, I believe, Liu Kang, where he had like fireball cancels, and the other one was like increase in chip damage. So they could, I want them to like definitely do that. That's like my hopeful wish that they can do that, you know? That would be pretty fun, just to see like a different version of Batman going up against the same Batman but with another variation, or like Superman with this like specific skill set. Like you can have like, oh sorry, my controller disconnected again. Like you can have like Superman with his eye lasers again, but you can have it as like one variation. And of course that's going to be super excel, because if they keep that like mindset of like, you know, mid to long range, you know, zoning and like neutral, of course they can do that. But if they were to choose like zoning Superman versus, you know, brawler Superman, I would love to see that. I would love to see that, you know, different types of like characters, you know, duking out with each other. That'd be awesome. And you get like different, and you know, I know it's kind of stupid to say this, but bring back the heroic brutalities from MK versus DC, right? Like, they're stupid, they're cheesy, they're like, why are DC characters doing these like silly ass tropey things? But I would like that. I would like that, man. Give like DC characters way to like brutalize the opponent, but not like too brutal like MK11 or MKX, you know, where brutality is like something totally different in the MK world, where brutality is just straight up murder. Give us like ways that like you can stylishly stylishly beat down somebody, you know? Have it for like the heroes, and then you could have like for the villains. Well, then again, you know, DC is kind of gritty, kind of dark, so you can show like characters being like, you know, effed off sort of thing, right? Like you can have that, but I don't think that's gonna happen, you know. I don't think that's gonna happen. You want to see like Batman's head getting like chopped off? I don't know if that's like a good idea. I don't know if that's like a good idea. But anyway, those are like my wishes for like Injustice 3. Now for the Marvel Netherrealm type of game, that's like heavily like rumored. I did like talk about it before in like one stream ago. I forgot what it was, but it was like so much fan craze that like, you know, Netherrealm is making a Marvel game, and a lot of people on like Twitter here is like saying, you know, Marvel is dead or Marvel is never coming back because Netherrealm is making a Marvel type of game. I just simply rebutted that like, no, it's not. There's not gonna be, you know, a Marvel. It's not gonna be a Marvel game from Netherrealm. It's most likely gonna be like Injustice style, but with Marvel characters. That's really what I would see from Netherrealm at this point, you know? Like I wouldn't mind it. It would be the monkey's paw of Marvel versus games, or Capcom versus games, right? You know in your damn well mind that Capcom is not gonna make another fighting game outside of Street Fighter, cause they tried countless times to get a fighting game successful, and they had bad business practices and just bad timings too. Mainly for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, that's the recent one, but then there was also Street Fighter Cross Tekken and Ultimate Marvel 3. And Darkstalkers Resurrection long ago. So I don't see Capcom making another fighting game other than, you know, the Street Fighter series soon. They could try. There were recent reports that Capcom has a lot of IPs backed up in their closet, and they want to find a way to like which one to use, but that's like time will only tell. Right now they're already making bank with Monster Hunter Stories, which will be coming out very soon, I think. Monster Hunter Rise, Resident Evil Village, you know, Devil May Cry 5, the soon to be Phoenix, the great Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright. Those types of games, they're giving them a lot of bang in their buck. And Capcom wouldn't risk that on like a good venture on a fighting game, because they already done that. They did the Darkstalkers thing. Look what fucking happened. It didn't meet sales expectations for them. There was a whole CG trailer and everything for like a potential Darkstalkers like remake. It was done in like Street Fighter 4 cinematic style, but it did not work out. It did not. It didn't not meet sales expectations. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, bad like DLC, bad like practices. Spent too much budget on like CG trailers to promote the hell out of the game. The gem system, of course, and then all that stuff. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had like glitches, and it was also an underperformed Marvel game in terms of sales, but built up to like a legacy type of game. Marvel Infinite, we already know. Capcom does not do well in their fighting game department, and if they were to do something again, that would be pretty ballsy, but they're pretty much in the safe zone. They don't want to like repeat another fighting game disaster, so they just keep Street Fighter alive with like Season 5. And if you want to have like characters like Jin, they're just all extra battle passes for Street Fighter 5. Sad to say, but it's true. As for the Marvel side, not sure, because you know they got so much bang for their buck because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel Cinematic Universe is making things hella hype for them. Hella hype. Loki is doing good, Falcon and Winter Soldier is looking good, but it just detrimented the latest Marvel vs. game so much. MVCI was just like a very corporate influence type of Marvel game. It had no personality. It was just trying to be like a ripoff from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because the MCU was making so much bank. It was making so much bank. Albeit one of the greatest fighting games ever, in gameplay wise and online wise, but so much, you know, bad history with MVCI. So much bad decisions that came out of that game from the Marvel side. Also from Capcom as well, because Capcom was also a part of it, but Marvel just, here, have these characters, let's not have X-Men because, you know, they didn't acquire the rights of X-Men at the time, so Capcom PR was a little bit perplexed on how to like twist their words around to avoid those pretty iffy questions. You know. It was just super fucking stupid. And, you know, Marvel would do well in other games, even though some games do better than others. Spider-Man is a hella dope game. However, Avengers and potentially Guardians of the Galaxy do not look great. They're just like, I don't think, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy would be such a nightmare for fucking YouTubers slash streamers slash Twitch streamers because of all the insane copyright bullshit that goes on in that game. There are like 90 songs and like hella vocalized songs that it would just be a streamer nightmare. There's a reason why Twitch Gaming had like an option for safe, you know, no copyright issue type of things. Because you want to promote your game, you want to have like songs and stuff, you want to have like things of that like, and it's just bad. It's just bad for streamers because they can't play the game how it's supposed to play. They have to like find loopholes to like upload their shit and not get a, God forbid, a copyright strike. You know, it's nuts. It's fucking nuts. But back to like Netherrealm. Netherrealm could do like a Injustice style like Marvel game. Make it like a little bit more hype because a lot of shit in Marvel is pretty much close range combat. I feel like, I don't want to assume, but I feel like it. You know? But it's all like give and take, you know? These are all like future speculation, you know, assumptions. We may not know if it's gonna be like the next Marvel, if it's gonna be a Marvel game by Netherrealm coming soon, or if it's gonna be Injustice 3. Right? All we have to take from like this tweet right here, all we have to take from this tweet is that, you know, MK11 is done. It's a good game. I didn't jive with it that much because, you know, gameplay reasons. But I did like how the characters look. I did like the game for what it is when it was coming out, you know. I spent like hours on that game just like labbing and doing like Spawn, Shang Tsung, you know, any type of character that like came out for the game because I was excited for that game. But I was like, nah, the system denied me any creative opportunity or freedom of expression for so-and-so characters. You know, I mean, you can have creative combos. I see a lot of like insane like quote-unquote TOD combos in MK11. Ugh, but it's very specific training conditions for that to work, you know? It's not gonna be that unga via bunga in a real ass match. It can be if the opponent is predictable with counter hits and you would get like a lot of crushing blows, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen in a real life practical match. You wanna know what's a good practical match? It's like a lot of tick throws. A lot of tick throws and throw setups. That's what the game revolves around. That's what it is. Very simple, short combos. It's very much like Guilty Gear Strive, to be honest. Albeit Guilty Gear has like Guilty Gear isms that make it more fast-paced. But MK11 is really fucking Guilty Gear Strive or Street Fighter 5. Focus on short-scaled combos, anything unscaled that would turn off the player base. You can't do like 50% damage. It's possible, but you have to work hard to, like, you know, get some of the good shit. You know? Anyway, that's like my take on the whole Netherrealm, you know, Netherrealm, Marvel, or MK11 is now officially over type of thing. But anyway, let's get back to the game right now.